Welcome to the Take Two with Tonia podcast with your host, Tonia Myers. This is a space for women 50 years and older to create the life we have always wanted and dreamed of. On this podcast, expect to have your mind expanded, your spirits uplifted, and your soul encouraged. We will explore the self-development journey of others and pull from it the gems needed for our own self-transformations. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Take Two with Tonia Myers. I have a lovely guest on today, and we're going to talk about all things domestic violence survivorship. Please like, share, comment, and feel free to just ask questions, comment below, or send in any questions you have to Take Two with Tonia at gmail.com. All right. I have today the lovely Cheryl Featherstone, or did you go by Cheryl McWhorter Feathersone?
It's Cheryl McWhorter Feathersone.
Cheryl,
because I was McWhorter, I was McWhorter so long with my music.
Right.
Try to keep it.
So she is here today to talk to us about her journey, and I am going to allow her to introduce herself with us today. And I'm just going to let you guys know she's traveling a little bit. So if she's not looking directly at us, it's because she's traveling and we need her to be safe. However, she has a juicy story to tell and share. And some of our listeners, most of our listeners are like 45 and older. And so they're in the second phase of their life. And I just felt like your story would be a great story for women who have dealt with, a lot of people at the 45-year-old, they might have stayed in marriages and in relationships out of the need or the feeling that they needed to stay for the children, but it was not necessarily beneficial for them. And now they might be either on the verge of, for lack of a better word, escaping, or on the verge of trying to start something new. And I wanted to give them a story of hope. And I thought of nobody other than you, Cheryl, than to share that story of hope with them. So if you could go ahead and introduce yourself and let the people know who you are, and we can go from there.
Yes, so I am Cheryl McWhorter Featherstone, founder of No More Domestic Violence Awareness and Prevention Organization. Also, we are the home of the No More calendar of domestic violence survivors. It's become a very popular thing. It started off as a fundraiser for us, and now people look forward to them, and we sell them, and that's how we go in and help victims who call us. We call it their no more moment. We tell people, when you are absolutely ready to get out of your abusive relationship, we will come and help. We have a partnership with YWCA, and they provide the shelter. We don't have shelter for anyone, but we will get you there. What I was finding when I first got involved, when I first told my story, and upon establishing No More, we were finding that, we were helping people, we were praying with them, supporting them, which is, some of those things that you don't get from the domestic violence hotline or YWCA, somebody who will stay on the phone with you and just kind of guide you through it. I recall as a survivor, when I was going through it, we're just doing the things that as domestic violence survivors, we wish someone would have done for us at the time, if that makes sense.
That does.
So if someone would have, I never called the 1-800 domestic violence hotline, but if I had somebody who would have dialed that for me, you just, because you're so confused and you're going back and forth, should I do this, or is this how this is done? So many questions. So we take that off of them. Okay. And a lot of times, even when shelter is located for them, well, there's never been a time shelter has not been located, but when shelter is located for them, a lot of times the women have not had a way, transportation to get there. So I started this out of my personal funds. Just, a victim would call and say, well, I would leave, but I don't have a way to go, any way to get there. And there's a bed waiting on them and for them and their kids, and they can't get there. So, I knew it wasn't a safe situation for me to first go and pick up these strangers. So what I did, we started sending Ubers.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Right. Or if they got a friend, there was a situation, there was a friend who had no gas money. Well, we can give you that, you
Right,
know?
right.
So, and that's how No More actually started. So No More actually started as my rallying cry. So let me back up. I don't know if you want me to get into my actual testimony now in the introduction, or
That was next. I was gonna say I would love to hear
okay.
your story. So you can go
Yeah.
ahead and let's just jump in.
All right. So on March 29th, 2006, I walked out of an abusive marriage of 3 years with literally the clothes on my back, my 18-month-old on my hip, and God was all I had. My ex-husband used to hide the cordless phones, when people had house phones,
Right.
the cell phones, and keys. And so this particular day, I just decided I had enough. It didn't matter to me. I was kind of like, out of my mind. Like, I didn't know where I was going. I just pretty much walked out. But the way it started that day, he couldn't find anything wrong with the house. And a lot of survivors know that when you're dealing with an abusive person, with a narcissistic characteristics, then with a narcissistic personality,
Correct.
you try to be perfect. You try to not give them a reason to have a problem that day.
Right.
So
Right.
I literally had done everything. Everything was perfect. The dinner was going to be on time. House always clean. Just nothing. And so he came up with, "So you think you're perfect?"
Oh
Like,
my.
like, I haven't heard that one. So
Mhm.
I had begun. I started doing something, and I recognized, I realized that, he wouldn't bother me. So I started just immediately, I just go to my knees and would just pray. And so
Okay.
he would leave me alone when he saw me in that, in that posture, in that position. And so,
Mhm.
but this particular day, he tried to pull me up, like, "No, you're not going to pray." So, I don't know, but the Spirit allowed me to get up, get away, and I had to. My 18-month-old was sitting in his high chair in the kitchen, and so the way the house was set up, I had to literally pass by him. I had to get up first. That's one. Get
Okay.
away. That's another feat. And I grabbed my baby, which was over on the other side of the room, and I had to walk back by him. So
Mhm.
to this day, I used to say, I don't know, but he froze. And I honestly believe in my heart, the Holy Spirit just froze him. And
Right.
all I could see when I was passing by was, I looked in his eyes and he was looking at mine, but his body didn't move, his neck just followed.
Okay.
And that's all he did. It was just to get out of there was just amazing for me. So I walked, and in the neighborhood, in our neighborhood at the time, there were only two streets. So we lived on the second street. So you had to go into the subdivision. And so the first street, then you turn, and we're on the second street of the subdivision. So
Okay.
by the time I made it to the first street, I'm just walking, had no clue where I was going. Honestly, what I do remember is, I'm originally from Montgomery, Alabama, and so I could have walked clean to Montgomery from Birmingham
Right.
that day.
Right. Right.
Like, I literally did not care. I didn't have a phone. When you get to that point, that's why we call it a no more moment. That was my
Yes.
no more moment. I do not care. And I remember saying while I was walking, "God, you know what?" And it was just I didn't say it out loud. I don't think. Maybe I did. Who knows? I was
Right.
kind of out of my mind. And
Mhm.
so I said, "God, I want to see that same thing that I heard my mother, my father, my grandparents talk about, that you own time. Like, I really need you right now, and I need to see that you can do all that stuff you
Right.
said you could do."
Right. Right.
And then
I
I
need a
remember,
miracle.
yeah. So I remember thinking, you're gonna do something. I'm gonna keep walking until you do.
Mhm.
And I also remember saying, "God, you get me out of this. You get me out of this. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it."
Okay.
And one of the things in between all of that, those mental conversations, with God, I'm saying just no more. I could not get those words out of my head.
Mm-hmm.
No more, no more. Like, this is it, no more. And so that's when no more came.
Okay.
the name came from.
Uh-huh.
And by the time I said, God, you're going to do something, I'm going to walk until you do something for me. And if it meant walking to Montgomery, Alabama, and it was already dusk, so be it.
Right.
And so by that time, like immediately after I got that, you know, that thought out, a sheriff pulled up, Jefferson County Sheriff. And I have so much respect for them. He pulled up and he said, we got a phone call that a lady was walking with her baby and she looked a little distraught. And he said, that's probably you, isn't it?
Girl, you're bringing tears to my eyes. How God just showed up for you. Oh my God. Yes.
He literally did.
Mm-hmm.
He
Okay,
literally did.
Yeah.
And so he said, so that's probably you. And I said, you know, and I don't, you know, I'm joking back. I was like, yep, probably, yeah, it's probably me.
Right.
And so he recognized me. Okay. Because if you survivors know that, you know, you don't leave the first time. He had been to my house before. Okay. Not only had he been to my house before, I was a school principal for Department of Youth Services. I'm still employed with Department of Youth Services, but at the time I was a school principal at the girls' school for incarcerated females, for the incarcerated teenage girls of Alabama. Mm-hmm. And so at the time, back then in 2006, we didn't have a fence for the girls. Uh-huh. So sometimes, you know, the girls from, you know, varying counties, they didn't know that they would take off and try to run. Right. And we would have to get help from Jefferson County Sheriff Department to get the dogs and help us find the girls. Because a lot of, you know, from Mobile, all over the place. That was the only one facility for girls for the entire state. Okay. So, you know, it was just dangerous for them and they were running, trying to escape. So we had to get them back. Right. But a fence has been erected since. So he was one of those guys. It just so happened that day he was working second shift. He got caught, I guess, and had to, you know, work a double shift or second shift. So he recognized me from both of those situations. He said, you know, he said, he couldn't remember my name. He said, yeah, I know you. You got to get out of this. He said, you've been doing this for a long time. And I said,
so how long were you married? How long had you been married?
3 years. 3 years.
3 years. Okay.
We dated 3 years and we were married 3 years. And I get all the questions about, did he show any signs while you were dating? He did show signs, but they were never directed towards me until after the marriage. Right. Okay. So I saw stuff, but I didn't know what I know now. I didn't know research about domestic violence, or I didn't know anybody who had gone through that. My dad has certainly never put his hand on my mama, because my mother was the disciplinarian. Right. That just wouldn't have happened. Right. Right. It just wouldn't have happened, you know. So I forgot my thought.
You were saying you got to get out. He said, you got to get out. You've gone through this long enough.
Yes. And so I said to him, I said, sir, if you would go back to the house with me and let me get a few things, and a few things turned into everything I could fit into my 2001 Yukon at the time. Okay. Mm-hmm. You know, and not be so rude as to hold the police up. I said, you'll never get a call from this address, concerning anything like this ever again. Right. And I said that emphatically. And so he didn't put me in the car, but he said, well, let's go back. And so he just trailed alongside me as I was walking back up. By that time, I want to say probably about 5 cars, Sheriff Department, Jefferson County Sheriff came to. Because what people don't realize is that is one of the most dangerous calls for law enforcement, domestic violence. Okay. Right? So they sent a lot of backup. And so I was walking, he was trailing along, they were shooting, they were going past us, I guess, to already be there when I, you know, got up there. So when we got back to my house, walked back around, I noticed that my ex-husband's, his truck door was ajar. So he must have taken off running. They went in the house to check all through the house if he was in there. apparently he had gone through the back door because he just left doors just wide open. So I guess our house was on a hill.
Mm-hmm.
And so we could see everything down on the first street. So I guess he could see.
Okay.
So when he saw me talking to the police, I guess he just took off, right?
Okay.
And so
good for you, right? Now you can get your stuff without an issue. Right.
Exactly. So I got to back up some more. So when I realized my ex-husband used to hide things before he would, do anything or, start an argument. When I would realize, I was like, he has my keys, he has the cordless phone, he has the my cell phone. So every time I went to Walmart by myself, I made copies of keys, and I just hid them strategically through the house.
Okay.
Different places, because I knew at some point I wasn't gonna live like that the rest of my life.
That's a great point. You to always have a plan. So that's a great point. Yeah.
So I had been planning. And so, but every time I went into Walmart by myself, I would get a copy of my car keys and the house keys.
Okay.
And I would just, tape them places, put them just strange places. And so, but he did leave my cell phone. I guess he just, he had it. And so when he took it out, I guess, some way he left it. Okay. And I did have my cell phone when I got back to the house. And so I went up, got as much as I could for me and my son. I was like, he could just have it all. I didn't care. I wanted a divorce. He could, whatever he wanted out of it, he could just take it back. I was just wanting to just start over.
Right.
And so the police, so I got everything in the car. They stayed the entire time, all these cars, right? And so I think about maybe 30 minutes, and they took the report and all of that, maybe longer. I can't remember the times for real, but took the report, and so that wasn't the end. I realized that I did not have my wallet, and back in 2006, gas was there were gas shortages. I think it was really high. I had no gas. I had no money. The sheriffs put gas in my truck. They followed me to the gas station. And I was on, people familiar with Birmingham, I was on Centerpoint Road. And I had to get to the interstate. They filled the truck up. And after I said I didn't have my wallet, I had my license. Yeah, I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I did not have my license.
Okay.
Yeah, I normally don't even tell that. I hate I mentioned it, but
that's all right. You were in flight mode. You were in flight. So
yeah. And so they took me to the gas station and they filled the tank up. And I'm talking about gas then was like $70 for that tank.
Okay.
And put tank, and they didn't stop there. One of them, the one who initially, he trailed me all the way to the interstate. Okay. And he turned around until I got on 59. And so I always stop and say, just thank you, Jefferson County Sheriff Department.
Right. Right. That's amazing. That's a good story. That's a good, just how God prepared the way for you to leave without an extra incident of harm or anything,
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I remember on my way to Montgomery, it's all love about, I was probably going to make it to my mom's house about 11, with an 18-month-old. And the whole time I was, trying to come up with, what am I going to tell her? What am I going to say? Because you don't want your mother to worry, My dad was deceased at the time. So I was just trying to figure out, what am I going to say? And so by the time I thinking on that and thinking about what had all happened, I remember by the time I made it to Montgomery, I still didn't know what to say.
Okay.
I thought about lying, making up something. And when I opened the door, I didn't call her because I didn't know what to say. Right. I was trying to get my mind together, like, what am I going to say that's going to be believable? Because your mama know you. you know.
Yes.
And so, like, yeah, I had the kind of mom like, yeah, come, okay, so what is it really?
Right.
What
What's
is
it
it really
about?
about? Right. And so I, you know, I didn't want to spook anybody. My brother lived with my mom and her younger sister and an aunt. And so I didn't want to, you know, disturb them. And my folks, you know, we carry guns. So
Right.
I was like, I gotta ring this doorbell before I stick this key in this
Yeah.
doorknob. And so I rang the doorbell. I had the key. I was like, it's me. It's me. So she saw me with the baby. She didn't ask anything.
Because Mama
I
knew.
didn't have to say
Mama
anything.
knew. She knew.
Yeah, I did not have to say anything. She took my son and she said, I got him. He was asleep anyway. And she, you know, put him in the bed with her. And I went to, you know, one of her guests to the guest bedroom. And that was the night. And she took off work. She never took off work. But I guess she was like, something's wrong.
Right.
And so we talked that morning.
Okay.
And I told her I need help getting out of this. And I had never told her before. Yeah, I had never told her before because you just don't want your mom, your mother worried, you know,
Right.
or your siblings. I didn't want to get my brother. And one of the things, like my mom was like, don't tell your brothers. Got two older brothers.
Right.
And that's that piece in my story. I tell people that, you know, women, we're so protective of our men, you know,
Yeah.
our brothers, our dads, that you will allow some things to happen and you don't tell them, because the whole time from the first time, you know, he ever physically harmed me until the last, I was thinking, if I call even one of my brothers, they'll either kill him or beat him so badly until I don't want them going to jail, getting in trouble.
Right,
you know,
exactly.
For him. And I was thinking for him. And so, and he would, you know, he would always say, call your brother. And I'm like, you really honestly for real don't want me to do that. Like, in my mind, like if I did, sorry, they would not care. I had my oldest brother, he's you know, he's the oldest of all. He was like, he used to jokingly tell people, I got time to go to jail. Like he was one, so everybody need one of those in the family. They got time to go to jail today. Like, no, I don't want to go today. I don't want to miss the game. I want to see, you know. So he talked like that, like matter of factly. Like, I don't care about it. It didn't scare him at all.
Do you think that they had an inkling though when you showed up?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't. Okay. He just thought that the marriage just didn't work. The brother who was living with my mom, the oldest, the one that my mom was really worried about. My other brother, you know, he yeah. So here's
that they didn't know. They didn't know. Right. We'll just leave it there. Right.
Yeah.
That's another story for another day.
The one who lived with my mom, he would, you know, react first, ask questions later. And the other one wasn't so quick to act. So that's what I was trying to say. And so, no, he just believed that, you know, Cheryl wants a divorce and the marriage just not working. It just didn't work out. And it was left at that. And so, you know, my mom did tell my older sister, and, you know, she got in the car, went back to Birmingham. She was like, no, we didn't. She said, let this be the last day you miss from work. She said, you're not going to lose everything. Because I had told her I'm willing to just start over. She said, well, don't lose your job. She said, let this be the last day you missed because of this. Okay. And it was. It was. Except for, you know, court dates and that kind of thing that I had to take off. But so I stayed with my mom, lived with my mom. I was driving back and forth to Birmingham and Montgomery. Had daycare in Birmingham, daycare in Montgomery, because I didn't know what to do, just spending money like crazy. Right. You know,
just bleeding money, huh?
Yeah, because I didn't know what to do, so I had to secure a spot, keep a spot, you know, in Birmingham, keep my son's spot in a spot in Montgomery, see which one was going to work better. but I have him with me in Birmingham, taking me every morning.
You're on mute. You muted yourself. There you go.
So that's that. And that's the story. That's my no more moment. And we eventually got divorced. But he had to serve a year in jail, 365 days in jail.
Okay.
So that was my no more moment.
Awesome.
And, yes.
Awesome. So let me ask you this. What is one of the biggest lessons that you learned from that whole experience that you could probably share with someone who might be going through this, or might know someone that's going through it, or something that you learned that you wish you had known before?
So what I wish I knew was research behind domestic violence, which I know that's not something that people just go out and just read about if they're not going through it.
Right.
And that's where I was. But had I known that, even though I saw signs, they weren't direct. The things he did were not directed towards me. I wish I would have known what a narcissist looked like, some of the things a narcissist would do, an abuser would do. I saw him do that.
So what are some of those things for somebody who might be in it? Mm-hmm.
So some of those things are mostly when it first starts, it's like too much too fast. If you ever been in one of those whirlwind romances, they just want to get married so quick, and it's almost like before you find out about them.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, we dated 3 years. And what I did notice when I would go around his family, he had one uncle who just jokingly said, I keep looking at you. I'm waiting on, I'm waiting to see if something wrong with you. I'm trying to figure out why you with this dude, And so, I should have just gathered information from some of the family jokes. Right. It was like they were telling me, but not telling me.
You. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's, little subtle ways like that. And that's it. No one ever told me that he had done that before, which he had. I wasn't the first, right? I was his first wife, but I wasn't the first who had experienced that with him.
Gotcha.
Yes. So, but things like things so subtle, like they ask you a question, you don't get to answer it because they already talking. It's like you don't get to talk. Right. They really don't want to hear what you got to say, to be honest. So, let's see. And I wrote it in the calendar about some questions to ask yourself. Are they inconsistent? Do they really do what they say? Do they really follow through? I mentioned, do they cut you off while you're talking, even though they were the ones who asked the question? Do they use their loved ones, family and friends? Just constantly borrow money. And, if someone asks them stuff, about it, they blow up, no intention to ever give it back. Are they, things like that let you know that you may be dealing with a narcissistic person.
Gotcha. So what are some of the other things that are in your calendar? And
some of the other things in the calendar, and I'm going to hold it up.
How do we get it?
Can y'all see that?
No, but I'm going to get a picture from you, and I'm going to add it in here. Don't worry about it. I'm going to get a picture from you, and we're going to add it in. So
similar stories to mine. Some of them I got no more. There are no more moments in there. This year is the first year we have men.
Okay.
Because a lot of people don't realize men are going through this, but men don't always call.
That's true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the numbers are up regarding that reporting, but then we're not sure. The numbers are skewed because really not certain if they're being reported.
Okay.
But we got 3 men, and one of the men in the 2022 calendar, he lost his best friend. She confided in him about her relationship, and he was trying to help her. And they were devising a safety plan. But before they could implement the plan, he killed her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he's been a voice since. It's like his way of healing from that. He's established a scholarship for victims of domestic violence kids.
Okay.
And those kids were already his godchildren, and he helped, send them to college. And so that's something annual that he does. He also has the Melinda C. Wright Award, which I was a recipient last year. It's such an honor. That was the victim's name and his best friend who lost her life to domestic violence. But he honors a person in the community who is, for their community work in domestic violence. So last year I was honored to do that. And he has an organization called Healing Hearts, and that's his way of he's also he's actually an apostle, but he ministers to victims, and it's called Healing Hearts. You're going through any kind of traumatic experience like that. It's a wonderful organization. And so we partner with those organizations, and he's one of them. He's in the calendar. He's on Mr. February, Mr. Clinton Calhoun.
Okay.
And we have Pastor Chris Erskine, who lost his brother to domestic violence. I think that was 2017. It's either 2017, 2018. But his brother's girlfriend stabbed him to death. And so he tells that story. And we have Mr. November. We only have 3 men. November 2022 is an author, and he's out of Montgomery, Alabama. His name is Terry Ware, and he tells his story of being a reformed and delivered abuser.
Oh, okay.
Which is quite a twist, but
right.
Yeah. And he is also an up-and-coming actor, having a lot of success. He's back and forth on the West Coast and home. He's recently also married again. But he tells a story. He says he thanks God that his ex-wife called the police on him.
Okay.
He said because he would not have otherwise known after growing up seeing that it was as wrong as it was.
Okay.
That makes sense.
It does. And that was his norm.
Okay. Yeah. And so because he had to go to jail, because she pressed charges, and kudos for her. And I think he said it may have been the first time. She just was like, I'm not having this. And unlike, I think the last research on it is that a woman probably won't even call the police to get help until like the 7th time. And that certainly was the truth with me. I kept calling my ex's mother and his father and his family members. But, and it was his dad who said, look, I tell you what, don't call me, call police and press charge. He said, and don't go get him.
That's what his father said?
He sure did. He said, because he has never seen me put my hands on his mama or anybody else. He said, so I don't condone that foolishness. If he acted like a criminal, put him in jail like a criminal. And he's through.
Okay.
He's through with it. And I followed that advice. So, but yeah, it's
So let me ask you this: what if for you mentioned a few minutes ago about a safety plan? What are some of the things that women could do or victims could do to set up a safety plan? Is it first find an accountability partner or call you guys to help them with a safety plan? Or
well, that is one suggestion. We definitely have someone on board. My husband Ken Featherstone is former law enforcement, and he's also the person who we call to help devise a safety plan. Okay. So yes, we do have that availability, and he does help us construct that, but it's no one safety plan. Like it's specific to the victim's needs at the time. Okay. You understand?
Yes, I do.
So he has to get as much information as possible. And there have been times we've had the victim to stay put because it was so volatile. And she was in another state away from her family, a long ways away from her family. and she contacted us, and we helped her devise a plan where she pretty much boxed up clothes a little bit at a time while he was at work, and
Right.
sent them to our mom's house.
Okay.
So she could just get completely away. She didn't want to have to come back ever again. And she
Right.
did. It worked out. So this happened over a course of about, she said she had not seen her parents in probably 2 or 3 years, and then COVID hit and she really couldn't go. And so he had already promised her she could go see her parents on spring break and take the kids. So when my husband heard that, he said, do you think you'll be safe for a couple of more months? Like how often does he blow up, and you have to be concerned like that? And she said, no, there's long periods of time between, yes. And so she felt like she could, keep things going and make things look normal. But she started sending a box of clothes here, a box of clothes there. And plus, she was also financially abused. So she only had a little bit of money at a time,
Right.
So she sent a box at a time. I told her, tell her mom what was going on. Tell her mom, but tell them, let's follow this. And so she was able to get stuff for the kids. By the time it was time to go to spring break, and after spring break, he called and she was like, yeah, I'm not coming back. And the divorce papers were on the way.
Right.
So
That's awesome.
it's just specific to the actual victim and their needs and what's going on. I thought that was a brilliant plan.
I mean, years ago, I watched when Oprah Winfrey had her talk show, and there was a young lady on there who she was working, I think, like at a T-Mobile store, and her ex came in and doused her with gas and put her on fire, set her on fire.
Oh, wow.
And part of the show was telling about some signs. And at this point in time, I was married to a man. And one of the things was, they like to move you away from your friends and family. And the guy that I was married to at the point had moved me far away from my friends and family. He didn't even want me talking to my mother.
Right, because it's about control.
Yes,
it's really about control for them.
Yes. And another thing was at night, he liked to yell and fuss at me at night and keep me up all night long, so that I was tired and couldn't function the next day, or barely could function the next day at work.
Right.
So those are some things that women need to look at and think about. And I remember recording that show because I can be a bit vocal sometimes, probably to a detriment. And I recorded that show and I made him watch it with me. And I told him, I am not going to be an Oprah Winfrey story. I'm telling everybody what you're doing and how you're acting. And I did. I started telling people when he would cut the donkey, I would be like, he is over here right now, acting up. And of course, that would embarrass him because he did not want
Good for you. But
know.
You know what? They I think there's a certain amount of shame for them.
Yes.
They make you feel ashamed, but they are ashamed of what they're doing.
Yes. And I use that to my advantage.
You sure did.
To my
right, until I started telling people. I wasn't I was hiding it for him,
Yes, that's what a lot of us do.
Exactly. And you're only making the enemy stronger.
Yes.
If you keep it dark, if you keep it in the dark, you're just helping the enemy. So when I started telling it, I started feeling more and more free.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I would want some of the listeners to know, to open your mouth. Don't keep silent.
Because you are assisting them and abusing you.
Exactly. Open your mouth
and tell it. You got to tell it. Even if it's just one person who knows what's going on.
Right.
I remember reading an article not long ago, and I forget which victim that was, and so I hate to admit that, but I remember there was a one sentence in there that said that the police had no history of abuse happening at home, but they went in there and he, shot this woman in front of her kids.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, everybody know this and know that, and neighbors wish they would have told this. They heard things no one told. So
Nobody.
for those of you who hear the neighbor going through
Right.
something, tell it.
Tell it. Tell it. Call.
You
Tell
are
it.
saving a
Anything.
life.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They said they had no history, but there was, in fact, a lot of history from that.
Nobody reported
particular
to the
part.
right people.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
that is
Violence
somebody.
kills.
Yes.
I see signs all around. You know, it's become almost cliche in the domestic violence community. Silence kills.
Mhm.
Silence kills. It really does.
It
And
does.
that's silence on all of our parts. You don't walk by, you know, and do nothing. Even if you are afraid to say something to the person or say stop it or whatever, just dial 911.
Right. Right.
I remember my ex convinced me after I had left him the first time. I did leave him one time, not long after we were married, like within the year of us getting married.
Mhm.
And he convinced me to meet him at a park
Okay.
and to talk. And before I know it, he had anger issues, you know, anger management issues. And so before I knew it, he had grabbed me. People were in the park, and I was like, well, we out in public. Surely someone's gonna say something or do something. Nobody did. They literally just watched, did not move.
Mhm.
No one called, no one said anything to him. But see, I'm because of what I've been through, the times I've seen it or it looked like it, even in a car. I had a couple next to me. I had pulled up to the red light, and I saw the man. He had grabbed her hair, and I blew my horn and rolled.
Right.
I
Right.
blew my horn. I rolled my window down, and I was like, "I'm calling the police on you." I got the
Right.
tag number. I promise you, I wasn't playing.
Right.
Like
Because that's nothing to play
I'm not
with.
on my watch.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Right.
on my watch.
I know my husband had a friend recently. His ex-wife had married someone else and he shot her and killed her. Uh, right. And you know, nobody even knew, and or then he called the children and told the children that he
Yeah.
had done so. So yeah, it's just
You never know what's on their minds.
you
You know,
don't.
like you don't know which day is the day that they don't care.
Right.
Because
Right.
it's one of those like I give up, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And you don't the victim never knows because they've been through it so much until some victims just seem to think, oh, he ain't gonna go that far. Yeah, he will.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a matter
Yes,
of
he
time.
will.
You just
But
never know.
you're
Yeah.
not gonna be able to wake up to know, yeah, he did go that far, you know?
Yes.
And I don't mean to make it a laughing matter, but it's just that serious. If a person is able to put his hands on you to hurt you, but he loves you, this
Right.
doesn't match up. Yeah.
It doesn't.
Something's
It
wrong
does
here.
not.
They
It
in
does.
my mind, they could literally do anything.
It
And
doesn't.
killing you is definitely, yeah.
I mean, they'll regret it afterwards only because, but that's too
Mm-hmm.
late. You know, that's a hindsight that is just, it's too late because now I'm,
Right. They
yeah,
obviously have a control problem. It's anger management control problem. That's really what it is. Like when we get mad, a healthy person gets angry because we all get angry.
right.
We just sit there and you're just angry. You don't have to do anything about it. You know, I'm an educator by day. I work with incarcerated youth. And
Okay.
so I was the principal. I used to tell my students, okay, anger is the action. You don't
Yeah.
have to do anything. You can just sit there and be angry. That is a verb.
Right. Right.
Be
Exactly.
angry.
Be angry. Hmm.
Right. And it's okay until you are no longer. That's what the healthy people do who can handle being angry. But a person who has anger management can't manage it. They got to do something. They got
Right.
to hit somebody. They got to tear up somebody's house or office or something. And you need to get help
So
if
somebody
you're
who
doing that.
doesn't necessarily have the willpower for that, to be able to leave or you know, sometimes they don't even know that they need help. How can they get in touch with No More, or because I know we have the, you know, everybody knows I won't say everybody knows, there's a domestic violence hotline, but if they're at a point
Yeah.
now and they need to get in touch with No More, how do they go about getting in touch with you? Do you have like a website? And I know you have to
Yes,
protect your
we do.
privacy, but
Yes, we have a website. It's nomoredvorabuse.org.
no more. What is that again?
No, no more DV for domestic violence or
Okay.
abuse.org.
Okay.
Yes. And then you can also call us at 833-1833. No more DV without the E. No
Just
E and more.
okay.
Yeah, we couldn't get that one.
I
Couldn't get
understand.
that line.
No more.
1833 no more without the E. No more DV.
Gotcha. I got it.
And we also, you can email us, and that's no more DV or abuse at gmail.com.
Does that more have a E on it?
That more does have an E.
Okay. And then
It's
let me
just the
ask
phone
you
number
this.
doesn't have an E.
No more DV or abuse at Gmail.
At gmail.org.
Okay.
.com, I'm sorry. Gmail.com.
Because I want to make sure everybody can
Thank you.
reach you. Yes.
Thank
then
you.
can they go to no more DV or abuse.org to order the calendar?
Yes, you can. Yes, certainly.
Okay. Or do you have another way?
Yes, you can just cash app us at $ no more DV. And you put your address in the comment area and we can send it out to you.
Awesome.
But we will be out selling our calendars next Thursday. That's the release. The calendar girls and guys have not even seen 2022. They don't know what their photos look like. They just, all they can recall is the day that we have this huge, it's a full day of makeup, glamour shots.
Right.
And it's so much fun.
I saw the cover on your Facebook page.
Yes, we'll let you see the cover, but that's all you get.
Okay. Because I was like, they're one of those.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So we will be they're going to get their things Thursday morning. I think WBRC is going to feature us, but we're partnering this year with Women on the Construction Network. And so Women on the Construction Network, they feature all things women. So since this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, as well as Domestic Violence Month, she chose our organization to be, she calls it the lead off for her organization. So we decided to release our calendar at the same time that we were going to partner with her. Awesome. So it's just going to be a huge, big 4-day celebration. It's Thursday through Sunday. And we got the flyer floating around with where we're going to be each of those days. If you can't catch us one of those days, then just, you can email us, call us about the calendar, however you want to do that. And and so we'll get a calendar to you.
Awesome. That is great. Well, your story is definitely one of inspiration and hope. And I hope and trust that our listeners have heard the things that you have said. And if they know anyone that's in any kind of trouble, or they think that anyone's any kind of trouble, that this story will help them to get the courage to be able to move forward, get a safety plan, and escape from that, because everyone deserves to live a life of desire and design and fullness. So thank you so much, Ms. Featherstone.
Thank you. And we are always looking for calendar girls and guys for the next year, 2023, for the next year. So if you're interested in telling your story, call us for that reason too. We'll love to have you.
Okay, that's great. Okay, because that's a thought.
And that's any type of abuse, because we do want to educate people about mental and emotional abuse. Some people think that just because they didn't hit you, you weren't abused. That's absolutely not true.
It probably, in all honesty, the emotional and mental abuse was so taxing, to even the point where my friends were like, you are not the same Tonia you were. And I had only been married a year and a half. So he started in like the next day.
Daily. It's daily. It's you got somebody speaking, a toxic person around you like that every day, all day. You're married to them.
Yes.
They're feeding that to you.
Yes. Yes.
Until you believe it.
Yeah, exactly. I remember he kept telling me, when I get you right, when I get you right. And I was like, get me right. He would tell me that. Yeah. And the next day we got married. And the very next day, he was like, put your head down. You can't look at people. And I'm thinking, I totally misrepresented myself, because if you thought I was that girl, so, and I didn't see any of that ahead of time. But anyway,
that marriage thing really makes them crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first time my ex hit me was literally 7 days after our wedding.
Mm-hmm.
We got married one Saturday. Our friends got married the following Saturday. We went on a little quick honeymoon to Las Vegas, came back, and we attended our friends who were getting married the following Saturday. And that was the first time, because he couldn't find me during the reception. Well, we both knew. He knew the groom, I knew the bride, and so a lot of classmates were there for him and for me. Right. And so I'm like a social butterfly. So just because you left me sitting over there don't mean I'm gonna stay seated. Right. And like we hadn't had this problem before. So he couldn't find me, and we ended up having to leave early because I was like, you mad like that? Like, I was so confused. Yes, that is totally how it happens. So if any of the listeners, if you are experiencing this, heed the warning signs. Go in with your eyes wide open. Don't, we think it's cute when they're calling all the time saying that, where you at? That is stalker tendencies. That is not he just loved me so much he can't be without me. No, he is showing you he's or making sure you're safe all the time. Yes. Yeah. So I know. So watch that kind of stuff and keep your eyes wide open. But again, I'd like to thank you, Miss Cheryl, and thank you. Drive safely. Y'all have a good time at the parade today. Congratulations to you and Ken. Thank you so much on the win. And I just appreciate it. I had a good time. So I would just urge everybody that's listening to, again, like, share, and comment, and rate the podcast. It's found on all stations: Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher for us Android users. We have Stitcher and Podcast Addict, and the video portion will be up on YouTube, so you can watch the video portion if you prefer video, and share and comment. And then, if, like I said, if you know someone who's dealing with domestic violence, all of the information will be in the show notes on how to reach No More Domestic Violence or Abuse, and the phone number, the email, everything. Please help someone that needs to be helped, so that we don't have to lose any more people to this ridiculous disease that people suffer with. Okay. So Cheryl, again, thank you so much, and I appreciate it. You're so welcome. Thank you. I'm so proud of you. Love your show. Thank you. This is Take Two with Tonia. This is for all my sister girlfriends that are 50 and older, that's trying to live your best life. This is where we're going to learn how to live our best life and be empowered. Stay tuned till next week. Well, that's it for today's episode of Take Two with Tonia. Thank you for joining us. Please be sure to like, share, and comment on whatever platform you happen to be listening to. Remember, if you share, tag me at Take Two with Tonia. I would love to see who all is out there listening. Lastly, remember, you create your own reality, and you are 100% responsible for your life. Till next week, I love you all, and this is Tonia with Take Two with Tonia.